as I mentioned, from Thompson, I have the great privilege to introduce not only, in living in Thompson, we have an NDP MLA, we have an NDP MP. They're from the same family. She holds strong union and social values. She's young, energetic, intelligent, articulate woman. She's not afraid to speak up and speak out in our communities and in Ottawa. Most importantly, sisters and brothers, Niki Ashton knows where she comes from, who she represents, and is a fantastic representative for working families in the Churchill federal riding. Brothers and sisters, please join me in welcoming Sister Niki Ashton.
Hello, steelworkers. It's a real honor to be here, and thank you very much, Murray, the president of our major local up in Thompson, and certainly I know there's so many people from the Thompson area, but certainly from the north, and of course all across our western region. And it's a real pleasure for me to be here. I came straight in from Ottawa because it was so important for me to be able to hear from you here today, show our support from our federal team, certainly my personal support, and be part of this very important convention. I am proud to come from a steelworker town, born and raised in Thompson, Manitoba. I know what the steelworkers have done. Right on. I know what they've done for my community. I know what they've done for my family. My father is a proud steelworker. Many of you may know him, Steve Ashton, the MLA for Thompson. And while he's been in politics for many, many years, he was never as proud as when last year when he put his name forward to run for the position of premier, the position of the leader of the NDP, but of course then premier in our province. And the most important moment for him was when he got the full endorsement of the steelworkers. And that was something so important for the ideas he brought forward. I'm also actually the granddaughter of a steelworker as well. My grandmother was a member of the steelworkers. She worked in the Thompson Steelworkers Local with educational staff. So the generational line is even longer than some may think. But for me, the pride of being part of a steelworker community and working so close with you and certainly the people at home is the times that we're in. And for us in Thompson, these are very critical times, and times that we stand united and stronger than ever before. As the MP for Churchill in the last year and a half, I found it critical to show our support as someone that came from northern Manitoba, that comes from Thompson, to our brothers and sisters in Sudbury and Voisey's Bay and Port Colborne and across the country, that we're standing united to protect the rights of Canadian workers, to protect the well-being of Canadian communities that have given so much to this country, and to speak out against a government that has stood by and allowed foreign companies to come in and take what are our resources. I stood with my NDP colleagues, the MPs from Sudbury and Nickel Belt and Algoma, Manitoulin, and we went and stood with workers on picket lines and listened to what they had to say. We brought their voices to the House of Commons. We worked with our leader, Jack Layton, and our entire team to say that this is not something that Canadians, no matter what sector, no matter what industry, no matter where they live, this is not something that Canadians will stand for. And while there are some that out there might say, and certainly I have tremendous respect for the collective bargaining process, but there are some that do say, well, it's not the room for politics. It's not, there's no room for some of the political workings we might see elsewhere. Well, for me, and I know for us in the NDP, It is so critical to stand with the people that we represent, to stand with you, to stand with working people for the rights that you have fought for all of us, and to stand to make sure that those rights are protected. Growing up in Thompson, we know very well what it has meant to have labor rights fought for, what it means for the overall quality of life for our communities. And we can sure tell when there's a lot of, I might use the phrase maybe a bit nicer, BS floating around, that companies aren't making money out of our communities, that they aren't making money off the hard work of people. And we're able to call these companies out and say, this isn't true. We've been there with you, and I know the steelworkers in Thompson on many occasions have been part of the solution when economic times have been bad, when times have been bad for the mining industry. The same goes for unions in different sectors across our country. So we know we're at the table. What we demand is that the other partners, not just the corporate partners, but that our governments are at the table to make sure that we're protected and that they stand up for us. And of course, these are interesting times nationally for the fight that you and us in the labor movement and the political movement have been fighting for. And I know many of you in this room have been at the front lines of making sure that the Harper Conservatives heard our calls from across the country, and certainly from this province of Saskatchewan, to make sure that potash, a strategic resource, is held in the hands of Canadians. And we saw that victory yesterday, but this fight is not over. Not just on this issue, but on other, when it comes to other sides of our resource-based economies. And let's not kid ourselves. Many of us in this room know that this fight didn't start a week ago, a few months ago, a year ago. This is part of the pattern of this Conservative government and previous Liberal governments that have walked the road of privatization, whereas we know that's how it happened here in Saskatchewan in the area of potash, but also the road of allowing governments to stand aside as foreign companies come in and take over what is gainfully ours. What are resources that go through the hands of working people in Canada, and resources that hold up communities and entire regions of our country. So that fight, while there was a major victory yesterday, is a fight that we must continue to fight together as labor and in our political realm as well. And the fight continues in areas where many Canadians, when many Canadian workers, many steelworkers and steelworker communities have been hurting as a result of this, of the recession, but as a result of bad government policy. I am proud to represent the community of the PA and OCN that depend a great deal on the forestry industry. And I have the honor of working with your brother, Gordon Landrio, former IWA and then steelworker from the PA area, who still gets a lot of phone calls to make sure that I'm informed on the latest when it comes to the forestry industry and what our communities are facing. And I can't tell you how shameful it is to stand in the House of Commons across from a government and hear them talk about how they're, with the stimulus package, trying to help in this area, trying to help in that area, trying to respond supposedly to the challenges faced by working people in sectors like the forestry industry. Because we know that it's this same government that allowed the softwood lumber agreement to go through and allowed for our jobs and our resources to be sold down the river. And that's not right. The battle continues for all of us as Canadians, but it's a battle that you as steelworkers and our brothers and sisters in the Canadian Labour Congress have brought to the forefront of the national stage. And that's for something as basic as pensions. And the right that we all have as Canadians to be able to access what is our deferred income, our work, the money that comes from our work, and the right that we have to have a government to stand and support that mechanism. It's us in the NDP, we as New Democrats fought for the Canadian Pension Plan. And we've been proud to work hand in hand with the CLC in Ottawa and across the country to say that we're not going to let this government take away our pensions. And I want to note on this one, this fight is a fight that maybe not all of us, certainly you in this room, know exactly how important it is. But when we get out there, sometimes it's a bit more of a complex issue to get out there, especially with certain generations like mine. And I'm proud to be joined here by young steelworkers, a good friend of mine from Thompson, Tasha, and so many young people in the labor movement that know very well that the fight for pensions is a fight for our generation. Because the moment we start seeing the pension system be broken apart and the movement towards a less solid, less regulated, less invested, and less secure pension system, sure, it's people that are approaching the retirement age that will lose out. But those that stand to lose the most are my generation. My generation that don't even know the battles that you have fought to get to where we are. That will reach a point, if we continue going down this dangerous path, where we'll reach retirement and we won't be able to enjoy the same quality of life as our parents. So keep up that fight, and keep it up for those from my generation whose voices sometimes aren't heard, but I can tell you we appreciate the fight that you are fighting on our behalf. And so looking ahead, many of us know that an election might be soon around the corner, a federal election might soon be around the corner. And that is where our work and your work is more important than ever. And I have to say, one of the reasons why I'm so proud to come from a steelworker town is because you don't hide your political allegiance. You know who stands for you in government, in parliament. You know that who is out there on the issues, whether it's pensions, whether it's fighting against foreign ownership, whether it's fighting for the forestry communities, whether it's fighting for workers' health and safety. You know, and you've made it clear that it's New Democrats that do that from coast to coast to coast. And that is a relationship that so many Canadians and progressive Canadians need to hear more about. And I am so proud to see that you make that clear. Because as we look ahead, you know, it's not crass politics. We need to change what's going on in Ottawa. We've got the Harper Conservatives that are breaking away our country, one hard-fought right after the other. We have a country that isn't looking towards, you know, how are we moving ahead in terms of supporting our industries, supporting the people that work in these industries, rather than just looking at selling them off and opening our country up to business, allowing us to fall behind compared to other countries that have a much more forward-looking approach to their economy. We have an official opposition led by Michael Ignatieff, which has given a blank check dozens of times and voted with the Harper Conservatives over 80 times to allow their agenda to move forward. So let's not be mistaken. We don't have a government or an official opposition that's on the side of working people. What we need in that House is more New Democrats. But we need more New Democrats in a big way. To those of you, maybe I can ask, which of you are from BC here today? Quite a few hands. So what we need from you is actually, you need to tell us the secret about how you turfed your premier that was against working people. Really, we do. So that we can apply that model across our country and bring it straight to Ottawa. So looking ahead, that election might be 4, 5, 6 months ahead, maybe a little later, but that's what most people are saying. And that's our chance to continue to put forward our issues. I know you do it nationally, but we got to continue doing it in our communities, sharing it with people, in our union, with the membership, and across our community. Because they need to know, we all need to know, and Canadians need to know, that if we don't want our country to keep going backward, what we need is real representation, and representation that stands for working people, that stands for the working Canadians that give us the wealth that we have today. So, sisters and brothers, I look forward to continuing to work with you, to continuing to fight for communities like the community that I come from, and to continue to fight for the benefits, for the rights, for the quality of life that U.S. steelworkers that have fought so hard for. And let's turf Stephen Harper, his Conservative government, and those Liberals out of there so we can have real representation for our country. Thank you.